Welcome to Bicycle Retail Radio, presented by the National Bicycle Dealers Association. Bicycle Retail Radio brings together retailers, vendors, advocates, and thought leaders for honest discussions about the latest issues facing bicycle retailers. The podcast dives deep into the challenges and triumphs of the bicycle industry, providing an in-depth look at the person behind the profession. Aiming to deliver content that's both relatable and thought-provoking, offering real-world tips and insights to help you find success in the bicycle industry. There's a human side of the business, and the podcast aims to share stories, experiences, and strategies that you can apply in your own shop. Whether you're looking for inspiration, practical advice, or a sense of community, you've come to the right place. The National Bicycle Dealer Association has a rich history of supporting retailers across the nation. Founded in 1946 with a mission to strengthen specialty bicycle retailers through education, through research, through communication, and through advocacy. The National Bicycle Dealer Association is proudly supported by our members and our membership. If you'd like to learn more about the benefits of joining, please visit nbda.com.
Hey mobile retailers, we have an exclusive offer just for you. Join the NBDA today for only $145 a year. That's a $50 savings on your mobile retailer membership with code BRR50. As a member, you'll unlock incredible benefits like exclusive education through webinars and on-demand learning, networking through monthly virtual events connecting mobile retailers across North America, business tools including templates, consulting, and resources, financial support through discounts and financing programs, and affordable health insurance options for your team. Let us help your business thrive this year and beyond. Use code BRR50 at checkout to save $50 on your annual membership today. Code is valid for any new member on an annual membership.
All right, listeners, welcome back to the Bicycle Retail Radio. We are so thrilled you're here. This is our Retail Design Flex. It's our ongoing podcast feature focused specifically on store design, remodeling, remerchandising, merchandising, produced in partnership with NBDA Association member Fixture Lab. Brian Hawkins in the house. How are you?
So darn good. Thank you
So
very
excited.
much.
I am so excited for today. Listeners, Brian and I have something special in store for you. That's what I said, in store for you. A little hint, hint. Okay, you know the routine. Fixture Lab has
Did you
been,
just think of that? That was
I did. Was
that
it good?
was that was really amazing. Great job, man.
Thank you.
Good.
Let me get through the little intro, Brian.
Sorry.
Fixture Lab has been in bike shop design and merchandising for years, and Brian knows how tough it can be. But Brian knows what works, and he can help you. And he's been creating hardworking solutions for bicycle retailers every day, which have paid off big, right, Brian? For sure.
Oh yeah.
So if you're a small retail business, even outside of the bike industry, so cycling, running, fly fishing, outdoor sports, Brian and Fixture Lab, they do it all. And they'll really make your retail space a space that people want to go visit, take pictures of, tell their friends about. They also make a full line of retail store fixtures that help you present your product in amazing ways. We're going to link in the show notes, but you can just head over to fixturelab.com. So we've been doing this now for a couple years, I think. I don't know, it's super fun. Brian and I get together in our bi-monthly feature, and we cover everything that comes to us about store design. Sometimes we take your listener questions. Sometimes we just come up with our own topics. But we also take this episode, which you're possibly listening to as you're driving or riding, or running or walking or whatever you're doing. We also put it on YouTube. So you can just head over to YouTube and then you can see the images, which I highly suggest because Brian always shares his screen and it's always stuff that you want to see for sure. Brian,
Uh,
did I forget anything?
it is highly visual, so I would suggest going to YouTube, and then if you have to, tape your phone on the windshield so that you can see it while you're driving and just let it play that way.
Yeah, just pull over first, Yeah. Brian, if our listeners want to have their questions answered on our show, they can write to us. We know that. They can submit photos, questions, design at nbda.com. Why should people send us questions? What should they send us questions about? Brian, thoughts?
Retailers that I work with are full of questions all the time. That's when they call me.
Hmm.
And this little thing here, this little podcast here is a really, really amazing resource. So, I mean, make it work for you. If you have a question and you want to get an answer, why not try it out? Oh, I've got some suggested or some ideas on what they might look like. How's that?
I love it. Let's hear
So
them.
let's say your question is, if we purchase a shipping container for out and back of our store, how many bikes am I going to be able to get into it?
That's a great question. There's so many retailers with shipping containers, and wouldn't
Right?
you want to know?
Right?
Us.
Right? I'm going to put in a sales counter. How many feet do I need between the counter and the wall?
Such a granular question, so important. All right.
Right? How about I hate bibs? They are the ugliest thing ever to merchandise. What the heck do I do?
That's a good one. They're very hard to merchandise. I like
Ugh.
Brian, you have the answers to this? You know.
Ugh. Well, there is no answer to the bib question. If
All
you
right.
actually ask
Hypothetically.
that,
Ask us
yes.
anyway.
No, I take that back. In fact, there's an idea in this episode that deals with the bib question.
Oh, I can't wait. So there you go. Stay tuned.
How
Don't,
provocative.
don't delete us. Don't move on. Stay with us. All right, so let's keep going. Listeners, I think today's episode is going to catch you off guard. Brian and I were chatting, as we typically do, the usual deep dive, retail therapy, sometimes personal therapy. It gets a little messy sometimes.
A few
And
tears.
he says, "What if we went to the mall?" And I was like, yeah. And just see his face right now. That's exactly what he gave back to me. It was
Yeah,
just,
like a little, that's the dumbest idea ever kind of a thing.
but I was like, what are we going to the mall? What you want to go to the mall? Like, I don't even live near you. I'm on the East Coast. And then he says, we're going to go to the mall to learn what bike shops can do better. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, huge disclaimer before we jump in. The disclaimer is just because it's in the mall, I'm not suggesting that the mall is jam-packed with the best ideas ever. But it is a good concentration of a lot of retailers. And it is a good concentration of really good retailers in general. They may not carry bikes, but they're really good retailers. So there is stuff to be learned. I mean, you could go to Home Depot and learn a lot about retail too, but
Yeah.
I just decided I would run to the mall, take some snapshots, like literally take snapshots as I'm walking through the mall. And then I threw those into this little thing that we're going to look at here and we can talk about what we see.
Awesome. So I guess the episode is what a trip to the mall can teach us about merchandising your bike shop. Do's, don'ts, and maybe some definitely don'ts. I don't know. It depends.
Well, there are some don'ts at the very end, but I didn't want to make this like I don't want to cast shade out there. I'm more interested in learning from the good stuff that people are doing. So we'll have some fails towards the end.
Awesome. I love this. When I go to the mall, I always stop at the Auntie Anne's for a pretzel. So I'm sorry, Brian, that I wasn't able to go. Brian actually said to me, Heather, you want to go to your mall and get, and I was like, I didn't have time. But Brian, I can't wait to see what you found at your mall. And I hope you
I
did get a pretzel.
still think it would have been interesting if you would have gone, then we could compare pictures, but whatever. Okay, so I'm going to go through, I'm going to pull up the snapshots that I took in the mall, and I tried to organize the thinking a little bit by breaking it into some subcategories so that we kind of, make the conversation a little more topical. Sound good?
Perfect.
All right. So, first category is lighting. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm so ready.
Okay. Here we've arrived at Williams-Sonoma in the mall. We're looking at lighting. Heather, please share with the audience what is good and bad and ugly about this.
Okay, so first we're in Williams-Sonoma, which I absolutely love. So I think that's good. Um,
Right,
the good is that the displays are just pulling me in. If I
right.
think about the lighting, the good is it makes my face. I look up. I'm looking at the ceiling because I'm like, what's happening? But it could just be because the way you
It's,
took this photo. I don't know
yeah,
if I would actually look up if I was in the store.
I don't think you'd want to look up because it's lights. Why look into lights? I don't know.
Right. But looking at it now, it does look really busy and kind of weird just looking at the lights. Like there's a lot of lights in this weird grid fashion. But the store seems really bright all the way to the back in every single corner. Like it is like it just makes me want to just keep going because it's like bright and pulling me in.
You are on it, girlfriend.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's true.
so before, like if I had stopped before I pulled this picture up and I said, picture yourself in Williams-Sonoma, would your brain have said, "Ugh, they have way too many lights"?
No.
No,
No.
you wouldn't care. You're thinking about the product on the floor and how amazing that stuff looks. There's going to be other examples from Williams-Sonoma in here too. You're thinking about what's on the floor and all that. And why I'm showing this is there's a few reasons. One is they use a lot of lights. I mean, it's this their challenge is just like our challenge in bike shops. It's almost impossible to overlight your product. Like you could put in twice this many lights and you'd still be fine. It's just there's products to really show well require a good amount of light. Thankfully, the lights these days are very efficient and you can put in a lot of lights for, in the big picture, not a lot of money. So it's definitely worth doing.
Right.
Uh,
I was just gonna say they do something right. If it's the lighting, I every time I go in there, I basically want to buy everything I see.
right?
Yeah.
Well, it is part of the lighting. They're good at merchandising. They're good at telling stories, which is some of the other stuff we're going to talk about. But, the lighting is not hurting them. All right, I'm bringing up this one. I don't even remember what store this is from, but I wanted to show, like when we're doing store designs for Shop X out there, and I plan in a high concentration of spotlights. Usually there's a little bit of an eye roll from the owner of the store, like, oh my gosh, do we really need that many lights? I'm not like, I don't know. Do we really, really need to spend the money on all those lights? The fact is, the best retailers do use a lot of light, and spotlights are magical in terms of selling the product. So look up next time you go to the mall, and I guarantee you're going to see more lights on the ceiling than you have ever seen in your bike shop. Make sense?
I like it. It makes sense to me for sure.
All right. Can you imagine what we're looking at here? I mean, you can see what we're looking at, but from a
Hmm.
lighting perspective, what's going on here?
It looks like we have a window display with some
Yep.
lighting coming from the ceiling that is lighting up the objects in the window. They seem really lit up, but there's some shadows that are cast too, so I'm not quite sure how that is, but that's what
Yeah.
I'm
So
seeing.
you see window displays everywhere in a mall, of course.
Mhm.
You see window displays in bike shops a lot. And a lot of the time, the lighting isn't handled the way it should be. And I'm showing this as an example of what the better retailers do in terms of lighting in a window like that. And it ain't perfect, but there's a couple tricks to it. One is this row of lights that's in the ceiling there.
Hmm.
They need to be in front of the product by a little bit, as much as you can, because usually the windows aren't very deep. So as close as you can get these to the glass, the closer to the glass, the better, so they can shine back on the product a little bit. And you're still going to get really dramatic shadows on the products. And if I back up from the same window, they've also done lights from the floor up that help to light those products in the window too.
From this view, it looks really nice. It looks really nice. I think the photo that you just had threw me off a little bit, but this looks really good.
Well, yeah, and these are snapshots from the mall, so they're not necessarily going to be gorgeous pictures. But those are some of the tricks of lighting the front window. And we've talked about that before, but this is just, it's like things that you see all the time in the mall. We're going
Ooh.
to talk about windows because we have definitely talked about windows before. There's a whole episode on window displays.
Look at this.
Now, I don't think I'm going to buy this swimsuit.
I'm not going to either, actually. It's not really my style. Uh,
It's really, really, really
I
not.
thought that was the question.
Okay. So there's a few things going on. We're looking through a window here. They've got mannequins in the window, which is a great idea. The outfits are nice and colorful through the window. But one of the other tricks that they're doing here that we talked about before in the previous episode, look at the backdrop for this mannequin in the window. And look at the difference between this one and this one, who doesn't have the backdrop behind her.
It's definitely put the one with the backdrop on display. Like that's my eye is only going to that one, to be honest.
Yep.
Hmm.
See, it's much more confusing, and it is way, way worse when you're doing a bike in the window because bikes are so, delicate and invisible, especially in a window. So that backdrop's really, really important for the bike shop. Continuing the window theme here, this is from Banana Republic.
Oh,
I was torn because part of me wanted to throw this into the fail folder, and part of me wanted to throw it into the just interesting window folder.
yeah.
Um, they're trying to tell a story here, and apparently Banana Republic's kind of gotten back to their roots here. It feels very Banana Republic-ish, lots of greens and the old motorcycle here in the window. Um, that it creates a flavor for the store that is a bit unique to them. But when we look through this without any kind of backdrop here, it is just confusing. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I get what they're going for, but it's not like it's not doing much for me. It feels a little weird.
What if they had taken, even if it was an off-white kind of semi-translucent sheet and hung it behind this display so that you can still see their stuff in the store, but it stopped your eye after these mannequins and after the fun story in the window.
Yeah, I was gonna say like some kind of like desert beige or some kind of thing like
Mhm.
that in the back just to like give it some kind of backdrop would have been better.
Would have been a ton better. So if you're doing a window for your shop, you throw products in there, don't forget what's behind the product and what you see behind that and what you see behind that and what you see behind that.
I love this trip to the mall, Brian. This is fabulous.
Isn't it fun? Okay, so this isn't really a window we're looking through. This is more the front door, but bear with me. And I could have put another 50 images in here of this. This is a threshold display. You know what I mean by threshold display?
It comes right after the threshold of the door.
Yes.
Um,
It just greets you as a customer when you walk in the door. It's like, here's the first thing that we want you to see. And by the way, intuitively, it says this is new news. This is the hottest stuff. This is the coolest thing right now. This is current. And that's the way to build. I'm not saying that this is a great threshold display. I'm just saying that everybody who's a good retailer tends to do that. So think about that as a bike shop. Create a display that goes close to, not too close to the front door, but close to the front door that has the most current, funnest story. Like as of now, maybe it's something promoting Tour de France time and you've got a great bike and you've got a great kit on display and you've got, I don't know, a TV playing a tour recording, something like that. Like get people psyched up for what's going on, what's coming up in a few days, that kind of stuff.
Brian, question.
Yes.
How often should you change the threshold displays? Like, is it every month?
I would say it would be great to change them every month, at
Okay.
least seasonally. The more you can change it, the better, honestly. Because if I, as the customer, walk in 2 times in 2 weeks, it just says a lot of good stuff about how interested that store is. If that display that I walk into is different within 2 weeks of when I come in the first time,
Hmm.
like I don't think you can change it. Well, okay, it could change it too much because it would become time consuming, but but just change it enough that it feels like you're really super interested and excited about the stuff that you have in the store. We were just looking at that threshold display with mannequins, and inside a mall, what do you see a lot of? You see a lot of mannequins, right? Heck, why do we see a lot of mannequins in the mall? That's the question, Heather.
Why? Because when you rent the space, they come with it.
No, that's a dreadful answer.
It's
That is terrible.
dreadful.
You see mannequins in malls because they sell clothing.
Oh, that's better than my answer.
They make you money. They sell clothing. Okay, here is the deeply hidden answer to the bib question. How do
Oh,
you merchandise bibs?
on a mannequin? On a
Bing,
mannequin.
bing, 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 bing. I mean, put the bib on a mannequin, on a good looking mannequin, not a scary, like recycled one from 1980, but put a nice muscular mannequin in the bib with, the full kit on, everything you can to paint the picture. And then I don't care if you put the bibs in baggies or shoe boxes or whatever. You don't have to display every bib. You just have to really merchandise, a sample like the star of the show,
It's a great idea, Brian.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just kind of an aside.
These mannequins look really scary. Like
Since I was looking at mannequins, I just noticed again that mannequins a lot of the time just look really bummed out.
they really, really do. Like
Like how dejected do
the
these mannequins, they just look like, oh, I don't want to stand
ones
in
that are
this
just wearing
window anymore.
only white over there. They look
I'm so
like
downtrodden. I hate this. I the answer to why that happens is they don't put like amazing expressions on the faces because they don't want to try to upstage the product because faces are super engaging. And that's why you see a lot of mannequins don't have any face at all. They may have a head, but they don't have a face. So you're trying not to distract from the clothing from the product that you're displaying.
makes sense.
But but I just think it's funny that they make even the body, the posture of these ones is just so
These these guys look sad. That is,
this guy he needs a hug or something. I don't know. Okay, graphics in the mall. You ready?
yes.
Here's a fun idea. You don't have to spend $1 billion on big graphics for your window. Certainly this kind of tombstone shaped one, that would be harder to print. That's not impossible. That was printed on corrugated cardboard and just unfolded and hung from like fishing line. But these little squares, the rectangles back here that back up that mannequin in the window, that's definitely something that any bike shop could do.
Yeah, and like I'm imagining the bike shop has an event. They can take some photos like from of their
Yes, yes,
community.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
you have a
yes,
close up
yes.
of how they were hung up. What is that?
It's just wire that's bent in like an S hook shape, and they've pushed it through the graphic because those graphics are printed on corrugated. You can go to FedEx office or whoever, and you can print on foam core or poster board or, there's lots of different things you can do. And then you could bend your own or buy your own S hooks and just make a big collage in the window. And you can still see through the photos into the store, which I love. Like it still reveals the drama of what's going on inside your store, but it puts the great, fun lifestyle imagery, whatever the imagery is, out front.
It looks great.
Don't you think?
Yep.
Steal this idea.
Feel this idea totally.
You could steal this idea too. Um, this caught my eye because, we deal a lot of the time with trying to make our graphics big and slick and impressive looking. But if you really just want to go to a FedEx office or something like that again and just do a large format print, you can you can do stuff like this, like cut it into, I don't know if the film roll idea or if that particular thing makes sense, but there are ways you can kind of make the most of a paper print that you could just hang in the window in a creative way that says, it just you're excited about whatever, like this event that's going on or the event that happened last year at this time or whatever. Have fun with the way that you do graphics and maybe come up with some creative ways to pull off larger graphics
Yeah. I think it's
and then and then
memorable.
change it out next month. Like this isn't a forever thing. This whatever you do here is going to be gone next month. So just look at it that way.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so Apple Store, they don't come up as much when we're talking to clients anymore in terms of examples of great retail. That doesn't mean they're not great, but people are just used to them more now. This thing that Apple does with these big, beautiful images of their products, every bike shop can do these images now. I mean, it's easy.
Is
This
that just a big screen, right, Brian? That's just a big.
no, this is a fabric print.
Oh, really? It looks
This
like a
is
digital screen.
Nope. This is just a fabric print. It's called a silicone edge graphic. If you want to reach out to me, I can hook you up with a number of different vendors around the country that do this kind of thing. Hard to find a local vendor usually that does these, but they are relatively speaking inexpensive, very changeable. The reason why Apple does this in their stores is because next month they can change out the product of the month and just put in a new graphic into the frame that's on the wall.
All right,
This
listeners, you
one
heard
happens
that.
to be backlit. They backlight theirs in a nice way, which is also attainable for a bike shop. It's more expensive, but attainable.
Reach out to Brian. He can give you the hookup. He can help you. He can help you figure this out because this looks, I mean, I think it looks incredible.
Now, their photography is amazing too,
Yeah.
and the product's really cool looking. So they've got that working for them. But even if this is, I don't know, an image like a riding image from one of your major vendors and or a local event or whatever, you can do this kind of a thing in a bike shop now. I'm showing this one. These are both pictures from the same image. And this was I was able to walk right up to this image. And I'm showing it not as a great idea, but also not as a terrible idea. The resolution of the image is definitely not what it should be for a large image.
Hmm.
So you could look at this photo and say, oh, the resolution is too grainy. I'm not going to do that because it's going to look like crap. But this company, and I don't even remember which store this was, but this company is a major company with great photography. They went ahead and printed this. And I'll tell you, no one was stopping as I was standing there. No one was walking by and saying, oh, that photo's so grainy. It just kind of felt like an interesting technique for them. So I would say don't let the graininess of the photo completely stop you from doing things. If you don't have a gigantic resolution on an image, the printer is going to push back because they don't want to set up unrealistic expectations of how that's going to look. They're going to say this photo doesn't have high enough resolution to print at this size. And then you can push back and say, no, I know it is what it is. We don't have higher resolution. Let's print it this way.
Hmm.
So just interesting info.
Interesting. Okay.
This is another fabric image on the wall,
Again, it looks like a screen to me. It's just so great.
right? Well, it's backlit, so it is kind of like a screen in that respect, and it is large, so you have good resolution relative to the size and all that. Why I'm showing this one is because one thing that, in my experience, bike shops don't do terribly well around the country is communicating stuff like they're communicating in this image for Lucid. Like, give me product information, give me I don't know, pretend this is for a cargo bike. There's got to be interesting kind of infographics or ways to show all of the millions of options that would come on or potentially come on the cargo bike. You could put those on a big graphic like this. You could explain the technologies behind an electric bike. You could explain I don't know, a carbon fiber characteristic of your latest Pinarello or whatever.
Mm, I like it. I think it looks really good.
Going right back to what we've also talked about before, which is I really, really love to give the customer in your store enough information that they can ask really good questions. This doesn't answer everything that a lucid potential buyer is going to need answered at all, but it's going to help them ask a really good question to the salesperson, and that helps empower them, and that helps the sales process, and that makes you more money.
Hmm.
Kind of along the same lines, when you see stuff like this all the time, especially in malls, and there's some really good reasons for it, you just don't see it terribly much in bike shops. Um, I like the type on the wall that helps to define who they are, where they came from, why they're there, why this is an interesting brand. That's a great place. That's a great way to use the space up high on a wall. And it's a really great thing to have in your store, even if every customer doesn't read it, that doesn't matter. If a few customers read it and they get a sense of who you are and why it matters, that's great. Even if they don't read it, but they see that you're saying something, it means to them that you care. So why not put it up there? I love product information. You see this all the time with pants, when they're on display, because they're describing the cut of the jean or the pants and how they're going to fit and who wears them, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't ever see that kind or rarely do I see that kind of information in a bike shop.
It's so true. I love it when they have that with the jeans too. I'm always reading it because it helps me figure out. Yep.
Yep. And even if it's like really simple, I don't know, like baggy versus tight lycra short or tights versus uh I don't know, sweatpants or something like some sort of information. And there's a lot of apparel examples in here because this was the mall. But these kind of things apply to everything. Like you could do this infographic type of treatment for like drivetrain components that are on the wall, or a bike, or a cargo bike, or an electric bike, or something like that. So
Anything, right? Like a
take those.
7.2, 7.3, 7.4, or something like that. Anything.
Yep. And I like the little tags that are hung on the hangers that kind of give you a little bit more information, either about pricing, promotion, financing, whatever. I
Hmm.
like the little bit of information right on the lip of the shelf that tells you what's on the shelf, so you don't have to pull everything off the shelf to see.
Hmm.
That makes sense. And then they've got a little trade-in policy there. So there's all kinds of, these are dumb, silly, easy things to do, but there's lots of good little ideas just in that one picture. Okay. We're still in graphics. And I grabbed a few from this North Face store because the idea that they're using here is something I've recommended a lot of times, and I wish more people would do it. This image back here is just like grass with the sky behind it.
It's
But it's
super,
kind of beautiful, right?
it's basic but really pretty. Yep.
What would happen if this was a bike shop or many other retailers, but I see it a lot in bike shops. Um, in a bike shop, that image would be someone riding a bike in the grass. Would always have to have the person on the bike, somebody super muscular and super fit on a bike in the grass.
Hmm.
The beauty of this is they're letting you, as the consumer, as the shopper, interpret and appreciate the product without having to be compared to the person in the picture, without having to be so literal that you're like, well, I'm never going to ride my bike in that spot, or that I'm never going to take my bag out in those conditions, or whatever it is. Just gives them something beautiful to look at and set the stage for the story of the product. Make sense?
Hmm.
Same thing here. This is North Face, keep in mind. And this is a city scene in this image here, which that's not very intuitive. Like it's North Face. You're supposed to be outside in the weeds and on a mountaintop and stuff. But people wear this stuff in the city, and just this little thing here is painting that picture. Same with this one.
I like that.
We're
That's
still in
cool.
graphics. This is inside the Yeti store, and they're doing exactly what I just was talking about. They're setting the stage for this drinkware. There isn't a drink or cup or anything in those images along the top. All it is just a pretty scene that says, you'd probably love to be out here, right? And that's what these are for. Graphics. This is a fake brick wall.
It
I
looks
think
so real.
yeah, I think we've talked about this before. Like, adding textures to the inside of your store can be a great idea to help mix things up, kind of give it some life, make it super interesting. And brick, if you try to use brick that looks like brick, it's hard to put in a fake brick that looks real enough that it doesn't look cheesy. But it's easy to put in a brick that looks painted.
Mm.
So if you put in fake brick, like this is fake brick, and then paint it, it looks like painted brick because it covers up a lot of the sins of the seams and the and colors and things like that. And then you can put graphics on the brick and it gives it a really cool, you know, gritty kind of a texture. We saw this, we did this in uh
Freedom Bike Works?
Freedom. Yeah, exactly. I was
I,
trying to think of the shop, yeah. Uh last thing on graphics, I think I'm not suggesting doing a little setting like this. This is a little sitting spot inside this store. But they took the opportunity of the graphic to tell you something about their brand,
mm,
which is a great thing for bike shops to keep in mind. You're in competition with all of the major cycling retailers in the country when the customer's in your store. So tell them what's special about you and don't be afraid to tell them what's special about you or a special perspective that your store has on the world because that's what helps to build the bonds with them.
I like that. Merchandising.
We need to save that soundbite. Merchandise. Okay, so very quickly, there's a few tricks that we see in the mall all the time that it's easy to gloss over, but they're things we should learn from. What's going on here? This is an Arc'teryx store, and they have the outerwear on display up high, and then they have the exact product on the hangers below it.
Mm,
This is the billboard, this is the product. So a lot of times people, when we're talking about fixtures that might be 8 feet high or 9 feet high or even higher than that on a wall, they're like, well, we'll never show, well, I'm not going to hang product 9 feet off the ground. But you do use a lot of vertical space if you pull off this kind of thing nicely. And the great part is you can see these from clear across the store above people's heads and everything else. So highly recommended. This is Lululemon. They're doing the exact same thing. That mannequin, this probably starts at 8 feet off the ground. So she's going clear up to probably 12 feet off the ground.
very, very high. It looks
It's
good.
very high. And all it is a billboard for the stuff that's below so that when you're looking from 50 feet away, you can see, oh yeah, that's the kind of outfit I'm thinking about. I'm going to go over there and find that thing. Same thing happening in this store.
Brian, what was the reaction you got when you were taking photos of the jegging wall, let's say? Like,
Well, it was when I jumped into the dressing rooms that it really became kind of, no, I'm pretty stealthy about it. I just kind of, I might look like I'm texting or something, and then whoops, there's a picture I just took there.
love it.
Not that, I'm not doing anything bad with the pictures, so it's not really bad, but I don't want to make the employees uncomfortable either.
So we're back to the Yeti wall.
This is about merchandising though. So from a
Mhm.
merchandising perspective, what they're doing right here is notice the colorways are broken out very intently. Now, in a bike shop, you don't usually have the luxury of this kind of color domination. You usually have a lot of different colors going on. But if there are products that can be grouped into colorways, even specific palettes of colors, like there's a line of clothing that kind of comes in these colors, group them together to make a visual impact. If there's a shape that belongs together, if there's a type of product that visually tells a story, group those together. Like merchandising is a lot about grouping things together to make a bigger visual impact. How we doing?
I think this is great. I think your mall is really nice, by the way.
It is a
A
nice
lot
one.
of tips in here for retailers for sure. So this is maybe you're telling a color story with this display?
Yep, same thing. You can see the edge of the wall that we were just looking at. It's way over here on the right. And
Hmm.
this is their threshold display when you walk in the front door. This is what greets you. And they have great products for this, but they've bent over backwards to put everything that's red on this display.
I like the idea of bicycle retailers doing a threshold display with a color theme and a mannequin.
Yeah, why not? Even if
Pull it all
even if it's
together.
not the product that is the colors, maybe there's like okay, go back to Tour de France. Yellow jersey.
Yellow jersey.
Yellow, 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 yellow everywhere on this display in the threshold.
Hmm.
That's how you pick up this tip and apply it to the store, like in a really easy way.
Love it.
Back to Williams Sonoma, we're talking about merchandising. This is probably even more than the lighting, more why you like them.
It's good. It feels good. It
They
makes you
tell great
feel
stories.
better.
Like each one of these little things that I took a picture of it's almost like a capsule for an evening or an afternoon or something
Yeah.
of entertaining.
Exactly.
You're going to do ice cream. You're going to do these fancy ice cream flavors and you're going to do all the toppings and you're going to make these little popsicle thingies over here. And then you're going to have sprinkles and everybody's going to have a great time and there's going to be awesome pictures.
So is that like maybe you would put a bike up with maybe like a visual of like the route that you're gonna take locally, and then like
Oh,
maybe
heck
put
yeah.
some energy bars and like a handlebar bag or whatnot, and like be like, this is your weekend trip, Saturday planned. Like
Heck yeah. And then use that graphic trick that we did with the S hooks in the beginning to back up that display.
with other people on the ride. Oh my God, we just did it, Ryan. We just yeah,
See? There
boom.
you go. Last one here. These are all like mixers for drinks
Is
in
this
a
a chocolate?
blender.
Wow.
It's just like they're giving you everything. They tell you how to make the drinks. They're giving you all the products. They
How much did this trip to the mall cost you?
well, I had to really keep on task, so I didn't end up purchasing much, but okay, here's some miscellaneous
Miscellaneous.
things. Miscellaneous.
Oh,
Uh, okay, I'm not in love with this, just so you know. It's a skateboard shop, and what we're looking at is a display of decks up high. There is a kind of slat wall display for the complete skateboards down below, and then there's a small glass case. This reminds me of when people want to put glass cases in their bike shop because they want to show drivetrain components that are expensive or computers. And at least, I'm not in love with the idea of a glass case like this because I think too much of the time it becomes a coffin for the product and it never comes out. And then people pile stuff on top of that glass and you never see the product again. That's the big hazard. But this one's for what it is, I think it's handled nicely, and at least the case isn't gigantic and it's pretty high, so you'd be less likely to stack things on it. Um, we shouldn't forget that nowadays lighting is very sophisticated and easy to build into things like shelves, build around shelves. It's easy to backlight things. You can get products from IKEA or from Home Depot or whoever that allow you to do these kind of effects that we're looking at here with this fancy pants shoe shelf. So if you want to dress something up, if you've got a dark corner that really needs a little bit of extra light with a little creativity, you can pull off a lot of these things these days.
I like it. Ooh.
I was really on the verge of deleting this picture because I was afraid that it didn't apply that much to a bike shop.
Are we still in the mall?
We are still in the mall.
Oh, all right.
This is the big restoration hardware flagship that's in Denver.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so we're dealing with a luxury home fashion-y kind of brand here. So they're telling a story about how gorgeous your house is going to be and by the way, your gigantic house is going to be when you have their products in it. One thing that I think most cycling retailers could learn from this experience is to think about the aesthetics and the space itself to draw people into it. Like what they're doing here, what the architect, what the store designer did here is awesome in terms of making you feel like you need to go to the end of this hallway kind of thing
Yeah, I want to
to
walk through
see you want to walk through here.
there.
Like you get the feeling that you're just beginning to scratch the surface of what you're about to see by taking in this view. So think about that when thinking about your store and don't put roadblocks everywhere in front of the customer. Like you don't want to, people are too tempted to stop customers with displays and things. And that's there's a place for that, but a lot of times you should be thinking about how to draw people into the space. Give them a great view that is a longer view that gives them the opportunity to be invited in versus stopped and kind of manhandled on their shopping experience.
Interesting.
If you're going to create a little sitting area, have fun with a little sitting area. Why not? This brand is has a lot of tennis wear and that kind of stuff. So they just had fun with tennis balls and wiffle ball kind of things. Like, I'm not saying I love this thing, but at least they're having fun with it. And I could totally see someone taking a little selfie right in front of this so that those little beams are coming out of their head. And you've automatically built in your own brand into those people's selfies. That's amazing. Stick water in the store and make it into a story.
Hmm.
Why not?
I like that. Yeah.
Most shops you can fill your water bottle in these days. But I don't know, you could make it into more of a story. You could sell your water bottles right down here. So if you're shopping and you become thirsty, you could actually fill up your water bottle right there, drink it while you're shopping. I don't know.
I like that. That looks cool.
Yeah, I think the fact that it looks cool, looks like we're very intentionally doing this for you, the customer. I think that makes a lot of sense. Dressing rooms. This is Heather, have we done a dressing room
Yeah.
episode?
Yeah, I think we did. I think we did. Yeah.
Okay, so this is right out of the playbook. They did everything just the right way in here. The colors on the walls are kind of bland, so they're not reflecting weird colors on the person. You've got it's a pretty room. You got big mirrors. You've got a very diffused overhead light, so it doesn't create harsh shadows. And then you've got these side lights on the mirrors that shine back on the person trying on clothing so that they look good. And the lighting isn't all from the top. It's not all from the front. It spreads things out and makes you look as attractive as you can possibly look.
Ooh, in the spotlight.
In the spotlight at Doc Martens.
Yeah.
I think they kind of blew it here by having like 97 shoes in the spotlight. I think they should have had three, but a little spotlight section of the store makes sense. Like, why not say, here's the hottest new thing? Like, literally, put a headline on top of it that says, this just in, or whatever, to help customers get excited about whatever the newest stuff is.
I like that idea.
Flooring.
Ooh, flooring.
Um, a lot of times a gritty, worn out, crappy looking floor is just what the doctor ordered for some flavor. This
Mm.
is an awesome store that I'm standing in, and they've literally taken raw wood boards and screwed and nailed them to the floor. So it's really, really rough, but it adds a lot of character to the space. So I guess I'm just throwing that out there that if you have a floor with a lot of character, gosh, I would lean towards embracing it unless it doesn't fit the brand that you want to be. Like if you want to be a really slick, beautiful, high-tech brand and your floor is looks like this, maybe that's not a fit. But in a lot of cases, this kind of a thing could be a fit, and I wouldn't be ashamed of it. I would just try to embrace it and and love it and kind of build it into the whole textural experience of the store.
Love it.
Do you know Golden Goose? You're probably wearing Golden Goose shoes right now.
No, no.
This is fun. There's something to be learned here, and this is an amazing story to me. I can't say I get it, but like this shoe that I'm showing here is $700.
Yeah, I've never even, nope.
Okay, so what's going on here that we can learn from? This is their customization station. You,
Oh,
you spend $700 on your sneakers, on your worn out looking sneakers, and then they help you customize them, and it's like a craft project in the middle of the store.
oh, interesting.
I
Okay.
have talked to retailers in the bike world that want to do this kind of thing for their customers, but I have yet to see anybody really pull it off.
Mhm.
But it's out there. It's ready to be done. You
Yeah,
can do
customization, I think, can go a long way for
oh,
sure.
you can do people's names on a vinyl cutter and stick those on the bike, or name the bike itself, or put racing stripes or flames on the bike. These are shoelaces for the Golden Goose shoes that have branding on them, and you get to pick the individual laces. And there are tons and tons of opportunities around the whole cycling experience for you to customize that experience and make it so that no one else in the whole world has that bike or has that kit or whatever. So that's definitely a big one to grab onto. What am I showing here? It's the
Hook
stuff
the
attached to the
ceiling?
ceiling.
Yeah. Is that for like curtains and backdrops and things you'd
It's
put behind?
Yeah, it's for
Yeah.
anything. And this one grabbed my attention because they're not using any of the hooks at the moment. But this steel up here is called Unistrut. And there's
Okay.
lots of different track kind of systems. But when you go to the mall next time, look up in the windows and you're always going to see this stuff because they are prepared to re-merchandise and create new scenes in the windows all the time. And having these already installed up above make it fast. So they can support whatever they want to, whether it's a graphic or a backdrop or a hanging a mannequin or whatever they want to do. They can do it really quick with these tools that are already stuck to the ceiling.
So smart.
Same exact thing happening here. They got a more elegant looking track system there with cables that come down so they can hang backdrops for these products in the window. And that doesn't detract from your shopping experience to have those things on the ceiling. All you're doing is just giving your people in the store great tools to be able to merchandise quickly so this stuff actually happens and gets changed out.
I like that because retailers are they ask often after our window display, like, how do I actually do that? So that's a good way for them to get a backdrop without having to construct a wall or something else.
And if you have to pull out a drill and put anchors in the ceiling, it's going to slow the process down and make it so that it's less likely to happen. So just put the stuff up there so it's ready to go, and then anybody with some string can make this happen.
Like it. Like it.
Okay, now we're talking about telling the story of your brand with colors in the store. There's a couple outrageous examples here, like a Rolex brand or the Gooder one,
Mhm.
but there's less out there kind of ideas too. Like this store, when you look into this store, there isn't a corner of the store that you can't tell that you're in that store. Like they haven't changed up the experience so much as you walk around that store that you can't tell where you are because they're always using the same floor, the same ceiling color, the same wall colors, trim colors, and this blue, kind of navy blue kind of color. Because they do
Yeah.
a lot of denim, and it just makes some sense.
You know
Remember
where you are.
we saw this wall before?
Yep. The
Same store.
dreams. Gotcha.
See those things. So, something the bike shops tend to want to do lots of colors and do all kinds of different colors everywhere. But if you want to tell a story for your own brand, then narrow down the color palette, just like we've talked about before, narrow that down and maybe pick one primary color to repeat a lot so that you just don't lose the fact that you're in Joe's bike shop in every corner of that store and be proud of that. And you see these simple colorways uh, everywhere inside the stores in the mall. I'm not saying this kind of a look is what a bike shop should look like. I'm saying look with respect at what they're doing colorway wise. They know their customer. Their customers don't like outrageous bright patterns and things like that. Probably an older customer. And this story is telling their story nicely and allowing the product to stand out and not the store to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Bahamas is the same kind of experience. They keep their colorways very simple, very muted, so that whatever color is there is the product standing out against the color of the store.
Love it.
Last few
Fail.
pictures. You ready for some fails?
Yeah, let's see
There's
them.
no gigantic fails here. Can you imagine what I'm looking at?
I think you're probably noticing that those images are very hard to see because they're small, they're up high. There's like a lot of product in this store, a lot of product.
There's this is like a lot of bike shops out there in a clothing store fashion. Everything's about 6 feet or lower in terms of product, and then all of this upper space is wasted.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the stuff that we did with mannequins in the previous
Yeah,
picture?
you can fill that up. Yep.
Ugh, you could do so much storytelling up above there that would help you understand. Like you tell me, Heather, what kind of pant is this right here?
Looks like a relaxed chino slim fit short. I don't
You don't
know.
know that. You don't know that at all.
I have
That's
no
why this
idea.
is a fail. This is from Nordstrom.
Oh, really? Okay.
Nordstrom does great with their shoes and generally great with all their retail. But this to me is a fail because they've backlit the product and they don't have enough front light on the product.
Yeah, it looks really bad actually.
It's this looks tired. The color of the light is
Oh,
gross.
it's old.
The panels look haggard. The backlighting just silhouettes the product so you can't really see what you're looking at nicely.
Haggard. I like it.
So I don't know. I just don't like the way they did that. They could fix this entirely by putting a few spotlights 4 feet out from this wall and shine it at those shoes.
Mm-hmm.
It would be fixed. This is also on the lighting theme of fails.
Yeah, that center part is really dark, really dark.
And you can tell there's not even a way for them to fix it. Like there's no lights.
Yeah.
Whoever designed that space and thought about lighting really didn't do their job here.
Fail.
The phone doesn't capture sometimes how bad this kind of a thing is. This felt dark. Like it was really bad. And the merchandising is ho hum here
I'm
too,
not
but
buying anything from that store.
nope, nope. And it's a great brand. All right, last fail.
It just seems like I don't know, a lot of shoes condensed into like half the wall or something. Like maybe someone was only 5'2" who made the display, so they couldn't reach any higher.
Well, this is the old argument like they're only going to put shoes as high as someone can reach. And then they've wasted all the space up above because of course people's eyeballs don't reach above the shoes. I don't know. And I know that no bike shop is going to have this many shoes, and it is kind of impressive to have a big wall of shoes. However, there is nothing here that helps the customer. Like nothing intuitive about what's good, better, best. Nothing intuitive like what kind of shoe, what use is this shoe for? Is this a basketball shoe or a high jumping shoe because it looks like it has enormous springs in it or something? Or is it a joke? I don't know. It's just like just this sea of shoes is like a sea of bikes in a shop.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing broken out, nothing made special, no stories being told, no graphics, no mannequins, no nothing. Then what are you doing to help the customer engage? And the light was really dreadful in this store too. It
Yeah.
was yellow and gross.
No bueno.
Oh bueno. There you
Good.
have it, lady.
Wow. Brian, I think the trip to the mall was a great idea. There's a lot of takeaways there for retailers. If I could give the listeners a simple thing, I'd get that threshold display front and center. I think about colors or creating like that story, like we talked about having the ride with the perfect Saturday with the images, with the wire. I mean, there's a lot there that you shared today. So, wow. And your mall looks awesome. And that was fun. Thanks.
It was really fun, right?
So listeners, there you have it. I hope this has you thinking. Fixture Lab always does a great job helping retailers. As Brian put that call to action, if you have questions you'd like us to answer, go ahead and send an email to design@nbda.com. Or if something today stimulated your brain and you want to send us a photo of your threshold display after you get it done, or maybe a section in your store that you think maybe looks a little dark and you want our
How cool would
opinion.
that be? Like
Yeah.
do a threshold display and send pictures in. And then if we get a few, we'll show them in the next episode.
Oh my God, challenge to listeners. Do some threshold displays. Send the photos to design@nbda.com. And the next episode, we'll share them out there, right?
And I think I can speak for you that the winner of the best threshold display will get $1 million
$1 million.
from the NBDA.
If I had $1 million. That's a song I like.
I'd buy a bike shop.
I'd buy a
I
bike shop.
had $1 million.
Or maybe I won't.
Okay.
That's a wrap, folks. That's all we got today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Remember, the mall is just not for teenagers or lost parents anymore. It's for bike shop brilliance. It's for the next big thing.
For getting inspired, baby.
For getting inspired. All right, that's it. If you listen to this in the car or on your ride or on your run, don't forget, head over to the YouTube channel. You'll see all the images there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of everything we do. And with this, we go. See you later.
Namaste.
Thank you for tuning into Bicycle Retail Radio, presented by the National Bicycle Dealers Association. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, please like, subscribe, or leave us a review. Sharing this podcast with your friends helps us reach more listeners and continue to bring you the best content. Remember, we host 2 shows per week with ever-changing guests and fresh content to keep you both informed and inspired. The National Bicycle Dealer Association is committed to providing valuable events, webinars, and opportunities for industry education and connection. Stay up to date by visiting nbda.com to see our event calendar. Special thanks to Francis Abbott for the promotional graphics for today's episode. If you're interested in advertising on Bicycle Retail Radio or have a guest suggestion, visit nbda.com to learn more. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time on Bicycle Retail Radio.